So, what's your plan? I mean, now that you're going to be, you know, although everything about your internship is not yet solidly certain, you know you're going to be there. I may have asked you this question, and I think you told me that one of the things that you wanted to accomplish in Japan was to really immerse yourself in the language and culture and really learn it as much as you can. But what else? What do you really look forward to doing this year? Not just in Japan, but as a whole.
This whole year?
Yeah. Do you have any particular objectives you want to hit?
Yeah, start studying for the GRE.
Okay.
And looking at graduate schools. Start doing that too. So, you got to register like a year ahead of time or something.
Yeah.
Almost.
Apply for it, yeah.
So you almost have to start cracking really early. So that's another big goal I want to get accomplished. Because that'll decide what the next 2 years, at least, of my life. So
yeah. So in the process of doing this, do you think writing is going to be an important part? I asked this because, in a way, we began this interview as a kind of semi-interview, right, about a writing that we don't have with us. But I know you consider writing fiction to be something like a side work, something to pass your time, kill time.
at least for me.
Yeah, but writing academically or writing, essays and critical things, it seems like it's your major work, right? I mean, you like to do this, you do well at it. How do you think writing is going to play a part, in your future work?
Probably a lot, especially if I decide to end up going to graduate school.
Yeah.
So you got to write a lot there, I
Right.
imagine. But I may go back, and I've been toying with the idea. In fact, I did a little bit this past semester. I think it was just one day where I had some time, and I decided, well, I'll go write a little bit more of the novel that I'm messing around with.
What's this novel about?
I don't even know. It's just basically Murakami.
Okay.
Because I like him so much.
Yeah.
So.
What is it called? Is that a title?
I don't have a solid title for it yet, but I'm thinking like something like The Ship to Nowhere. Thinking that'll be the title. I don't know yet for sure.
Right. Is there any relationship between these fictional writings that you do on the side and academic writings that you do and you plan to do at the graduate level?
Sometimes. At least with my academic state, they do play a part in any of my writing. It's part of who I am, so I think they almost have to. But sometimes I'll try and include like philosophical tidbits in my writing, not necessarily academic writing, unless I explain it, of course, beforehand. But yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I add certain elements of my learning into the writing.
What's the habit of writing that you have when you have to do a paper? Do you start by brainstorming, do an outline, or just go cold onto a piece of paper? Or
It used to be like that.
Yeah.
You'd start it out, just start at the beginning, go to the end, put your last period, and turn it in.
Right.
But no, since it's become more structured, more like writing a short outline. Usually they're not very long, just something to structure the ideas, either 3 main points or 4 or whatever, just the main topics I want to cover, and then maybe a few supporting ideas that I was thinking of while I was writing out that main point. And another thing I do is I like to start with the conclusion. Start
Really?
with the conclusion.
What is that?
Or write the main points out. Yeah, I like to start with the conclusion because it's the easiest part, I think. It's really just rehashing all the basic ideas that you started in the beginning. I think the introduction is the hardest. It's because it's got to be, I think, the most structured part of any academic piece of writing. A lot of people will read your first paragraph, and if it's not good, they're not going to even bother reading the rest of it. So for that reason, and also that it sets the tone and the outline basically for your entire paper, for everything you're going to write is in the introduction. So I like to start with the conclusion, just to kind of, because it mirrors the introduction in some ways, in the fact that you kind of shortly rehash what you said, maybe right back to your thesis, and then end off with some maybe basic additional information or further suggestions for reading, or depending on who your audience is, further suggestions for their own research, or something like that. And that seems to me to be the easiest part. Just kind of do the outline first, get your ideas down, and then write those ideas out in some kind of format and a conclusion, and then write each main point, and then do the introduction. So I almost write it backwards. And
Really?
then,
Has this always been the case, or is this something
No.
that you developed over the
no, like I
years?
say, it's what I developed over time. It started out where I just write it cold, just
Right.
straight through.
Well, why the transition? Why the evolution from cold to this kind of very backward engineering type of writing?
I feel that when the writing has more structure like that, it's more easily understood and more rhetorically sound. So, and in academia, of course, rhetoric is very important.
Right.
So, if you want to be serious about your writing, I mean, I think you really have to rewrite it, rehash it, check it out again. Even after I do it the backwards way, I always reread it again.
Do you read aloud when you do a rewrite?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I read it aloud. Sometimes you catch things with your voice that you don't necessarily catch with your eyes.
Mm.
When I read, I almost skim, like just very quickly.
Right. Same
And
thing here.
Just get the information, and then when I read aloud, obviously you have to read every word and focus on it. And it's most of the time I will hear a mistake rather than see it, and maybe that's just because I'm so attuned to hearing the language.
Yeah. Plus, you're slowing down.
Right.
Far more than you're reading. And plus, in our cases, I mean, you told me, I think earlier last semester how much you like to read aloud.
Yeah.
You like
I
your
really
voice.
like doing
There's
that.
a kind of
Yeah.
narcissistic pleasure, we get out of
It is.
reading aloud.
It is.
Yeah, it's too bad, you didn't really make the open mics as many times as you've wanted to.
Yeah, I
people
would have
wanted
liked to, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, things can get in the way. But yeah, I mean, because I do like to read aloud
Right.
to other people.
Are there models for academic writing that you've read academic writings as well as literary texts?
Yeah.
Are there any writings that you think this is very good within the sphere of academia?
Nothing jumps out at me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
Jameson?
Frederick Jameson. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know about Jameson. It's a
Karatan
story.
Koji.
Karatan. I never read him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was advised not to.
By whom?
So far.
Satomi?
Yeah. At first he told me, maybe you should read it, but then he said, well, maybe you should familiarize yourself more completely with Japanese literature, and then read Karatan Koji, because he makes a lot of references, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what work you're reading. It is,
Yeah, I
because
suppose so.
A lot of
I suppose so.
Karatani's, for example, is one of the latest works he's done it's called Transcritique, and it's really about Immanuel Kant and Karl Marx. So
Is
if
that
you-
right?
He's very much well versed in Western philosophy. He writes about Wittgenstein. I mean, if you have ever come to my place, I'll show you, the Karatani collection I have. But bulk of which have very little to do with Japanese literature or even culture. They are commentaries on, different mathematical theories or, take on, different aspects of Western philosophy. Very much sort of Japanese-bred deconstructionist, if you will. Because of his relationship and part with Paul de Man when he came to Yale, etc.